Hi, I'm Charlie, and this is Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders is available both as a podcast, wherever you get great podcasts, and on video on our YouTube channel, Cooking Secrets for Men. So today, I'm very pleased to have as my guest, Dr. Stacia Thompson. Stacia?
Nice to meet you and in person, and so thank you so very much for inviting me.
Sure, thanks. Good morning. So Stacia is the president and CEO of the Sherman Phoenix Foundation, and we'll get to the Sherman Phoenix in just a minute. You've had many awards and accolades over your work career. The two I want to mention, recent ones, Milwaukee Magazine's 2024 Women of Distinction.
Yes.
That was a good one. And then one that I was... this seems to be a new one I'd never really heard of before, but it's a great one. It's the 30 People Shaping Milwaukee's Future. And that's a great list to be on, because what that says to me is not only are you're doing work currently, but you're one of the future leaders, and you're doing that. So we look forward to whatever happens in the future. So you were born and raised in Racine.
Yes.
So why don't you talk about your early years and growing up in Racine?
I love Racine. Racine is such a microcosm. Some people talk about, I refer to Racine as a salad bowl instead of a melting pot, because there's so much culture and diversity, and but you can still be yourself.
Uh-huh.
And so I was able to have that type of childhood, growing up with that, as well as at school. The different opportunities and programs that my mom put me in. So I really love Racine because it's just an amazing community. It's it's small, it's tight knit,
Uh-huh.
and it's home.
Good. So you get to college. You end up going to Concordia University, get both a bachelor's and a master's, but it was not a straight line for you.
It was definitely not a straight line. So I love to share this story with people because it's a story of never stop. Everything happens in God's timing. So it took me 10 years to get my bachelor's degree.
Wow.
I started out at St. Louis University.
Mm-hmm.
I was 17 years old when I went away to college, had a lot of fun, and ended up on academic probation. So we moved forward, and I got a little homesick, and so I decided after a couple of years to transfer back home and went to Carthage. But those private school tuitions add up, and
Sure.
I ran out of financial aid as a dependent student. So I kind of took a hiatus and did some work in corporate, and then I was able to get a job as a pre-college coordinator for the Gear Up program, so gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate programs at the Bray Center in Racine. And one of my committee members for a project I was working on for the NAACP is like, sorry, I haven't been in touch with you, but I've been busy because we're down a person. So being as a joke, I said, I should apply. He said, you should. And long story short, I applied. The executive director and assistant director were people I knew because of the programs I was in high school that they had been over.
Right.
And so I was able to get the job. And now I am working with young people and telling them what to do for post-secondary plans, but I hadn't completed my degree, so I kind of felt like a hypocrite. So then I went back to the adult ed program
Right.
At Concordia, got my bachelor's degree in management communication, and then I was like, you know what, maybe I need to keep on going. I thought I wanted to be a high school guidance counselor, but the state of Wisconsin said, no, your cumulative GPA isn't high enough because of the time I had spent on academic
Sure.
probation, even though I graduated with a high GPA for my bachelor's from Concordia. But Concordia said, well, we've got this other program we think you'd be a great fit for. And it was their Student Personnel Administration program. And it was a great fit. I would literally go to class on Monday and use some of what I learned on Monday and Tuesday at work. So that's kind of how that was my road to getting my bachelor's degree.
So you started to talk a little bit about early career. So talk about your early career. You had a lot of work in higher education and in pre-college programs, and then bring us up to the point where you're getting up to the Sherman Phoenix.
Absolutely. And I always tell people that everything I've done up until now has prepared me for the job at Sherman Phoenix. So one of my first jobs in education was at the Bray Center, the pre-college program. And then after I graduated from with my master's degree in student personnel, I always share too that although I worked in higher ed, I kind of had a non-traditional higher ed as well, because I did start out as an academic advisor and instructor in student support services at Parkside, UW Parkside. But then I became the director. I went back to pre-college. I became the director of a program called Upward Bound. And then from there, there was a role, an opportunity at Gateway Technical College, and it was director of Health Professionals Opportunity Program. So it was the largest grant that Gateway had ever seen. It was $10 million over 5 years, and they needed somebody to get it started. So I applied, got that job, and that program was really a combination of workforce, community outreach, and education all together, because we were able to support those who were in health programs, and we were able to pay tuition, help with childcare, books, pay for their exams that they had to take once they finished their health program. And so we also worked with workforce. So we worked with the hospitals and with the clinics, with the community organizations that would be hiring them to say, hey, we have somebody that's graduating. Could you take a look at their resume? Or here's our whole book. We used to actually do a resume book. And then we would send it out so that those that were hiring could see who we had and who they could potentially have as staff. And then from there, I was promoted to Director of Workforce Strategies in the Division of Business Workforce Solutions. So I was able to do economic development, community programming, apprenticeship was under my umbrella, the entrepreneurial programs that were non-academic were under my umbrella, the co-working space and the maker space were all under my umbrella of responsibility. So I was able to do some amazing community programs. We did short-term learning programs. Maybe somebody didn't have, a full semester or 2 years to complete a program to go back to work. So we took those classes that could get people in the door.
Right.
And created 12-week training programs. We did that in hospitality, computer numeric control, and telecom wiring. And then we were able to, again, work with employers, making sure that the things that we were teaching were what was going to get people in the door.
Sure.
And then we also worked with them to be there at the graduations. And sometimes at the graduation, there'd be interviews, and people would be working that Monday following graduation.
That's great. So, and you had had a couple stints in Chicago.
Yes. So after Gateway, actually, opportunity presented itself to me, and it was another first. Most of my roles, I was the first. And I was recruited there to be the Vice Chancellor of Workforce Innovation for City College of Chicago for the entire district. So I did that. Then I was approached about going to the YWCA Metro Chicago to help build the infrastructure of their workforce innovation programs.
So fast forward, you told the story, but the short version is you saw something on LinkedIn and you applied for it. And I want to say, as a recruiter in my previous life, LinkedIn is very important to keep your profile updated, to make it make sense, and to I'll just double check it every once in a while. So go ahead and tell your story about Sherman Phoenix and LinkedIn.
Yes. So there's a way on LinkedIn where in the background you can share that you're open to employment. You don't have to make it public, so no, not everybody has to know. But then there's the algorithm that it creates.
Sure.
And it started sending me emails daily about different roles. Well, this particular email they sent was worded just like this. It said, "This role matches your skill set." And we were coming out of the pandemic, and I kind of like being at home again and not driving back and forth to Chicago. So I was like, let me apply. So I actually already had my resume saved in LinkedIn, so I could do it through my phone and hit submit. And the recruiter from Goodwill Talent Bridge called me that evening, and then 4 interviews, and here we are.
Well, that's great. So why don't you talk a little bit about Sherman Phoenix, how it came to be, and its role in our community?
Absolutely. So Sherman Phoenix, we are in a 25,000 square foot, what used to be a bank building, and unlike some other marketplaces or organizations like its kind, it wasn't we should do this because it's good for the community, with the original thought. It was born out of tragedy. So there was a young man shot and killed by police, which ensued in the civil unrest in 2016. Many people remember, it made national news. Many people remember seeing the gas station on fire.
Right.
Well, the building we currently inhabit was a BMO bank building, and it had been being underutilized even before the fire. So BMO chose not to open that back up in there, but they moved across the street into a smaller facility. So the building kind of sat in Blythe on the block. So Julie Kaufman, after seeing Joanne on a national news outlet, and Joanne's last word was, "I just don't know what to do," Julie reached out to Joanne, as they're both community developers, and said, "I have an idea. Let's talk about it." They got in touch with the alderperson of the area. They got in touch with BMO and were able to walk the building and Joanne at the time had a juice kitchen. She said, well, this is too big for a juice kitchen, but let's talk. And so they came up with the idea of creating a Black entrepreneurial hub and marketplace. Right. And so that's the significance of the name, is out of the ashes, the Phoenix rises. And opened in 2018, November 30th, 2018, with 27 businesses. Okay. In an incubator, a non-traditional incubator style. Some of the businesses, it was their first time having a brick and mortar, or it was their first time being in business. In fact, when the story from the Business Journal ran prior to it opening, some of the businesses didn't have names yet. They just knew that they were going to be opening inside the Sherman Phoenix. And now, fast forward to 2025, we've now been home to 62 businesses since 2018. And of those original 27, 86% are still in business, even through a pandemic. And the national average is about 20% of Black businesses are still in business after 18 months.
Well, it's a great place, as you call it, non-traditional incubator. And I shared with you a story that I went into Sherman Phoenix on Pie Day to get a sweet potato pie. It was very good. I went to
Baked Dreams.
Yeah, Sweet Baked Dreams. Is that right?
Baked Dreams.
Baked Dreams. Mm-hmm. Creations. Baked Dreams Creations.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes, that's the full name.
I know there's 3 words to it. It's a Baked Dream Creation. Mm-hmm. And Tamisha, who is the proprietor there, she'd been here on the show. She was here with Bishop Harvey.
Okay.
With Upstart Kitchen.
Yes.
And she was showing her delegation and managerial skills by having Bishop Harvey do all the work. Well, she told him, we're making chicken salad sandwiches. You want this, you do this. And so he put them all together.
And he obliged.
Right. Well, I mean, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Absolutely.
But that was just, I chuckle every time I see that video. Is that her telling her, and Dr. Glenn Matthews is also on the board there at Upstart Kitchen, And anyway, so I know what we're making today because we chatted about this, but there's a story behind it.
Yes, there is.
So why don't you tell the story and what we're making today?
Awesome. So I make some amazing guacamole. And so in true Sherman Phoenix family form, TruMan McGee, owner of Funky Fresh Spring Rolls, and I were just, going back and forth about who has the best, who is the best. So we decided to kind of mimic some of the reality shows, and we did a blind taste test, and we did a guacamole contest. Uh-huh. And also in true TruMan form, because he's just a whiz at social media and video, so we really hyped it up. Like, we did videos of what it was going to look like, of us standing face to face, me standing on a chair, of course, standing face to face to say the battle is on.
I'm actually taller than she is.
Saying that the battle is actually on. We even invited Judge Mosley, who's the ultimate Milwaukee foodie. Yes. And he was a part of my hiring process too. He's one of the people that I interviewed with during my interview process. And so we decided we were going to do a guacamole cook-off blind taste test. So we both made our guacamoles, and we had numbered little cups. And when Judge Mosley came, and he was just, and I knew it was mine, he's just going on about the flavor palette and the taste and the texture. And the other one, he's just like, it's just okay for me. So we just went around to all the shops, and some people came in that had seen it online to do the taste test. And what we did is, if you liked it, you kept the cup. If you didn't want to vote for that one, you threw it away. Right. And at the end of the battle, there were more of my cups that were kept. But a funny thing also is that TruMan admitted to me that, well, I know your spices are always right, because I also make a homemade green sauce, a verde sauce. And he said, so I poured a little bit of your verde sauce into my guacamole. So he's cheated and still lost.
Well, congratulations. So we're making guacamole today. Let me give you one of our aprons.
Awesome.
So as Stacia's getting ready, we've done a little prep work back here. Give us a minute, and we'll be right back. Put the guacamole together, and then I guess we have to eat it after we make it.
You have to try it.
Okay. Yes. All right. So give us a minute. We'll be right back. All right. So we're here in the kitchen area. So Stacia, take it away.
Awesome. So I've washed my hands. I make a chunky guac. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually, see our avocados are pitted. I'm actually just going to take the spoon, and I usually, since they're ripe enough, I kind of just make cut marks like you would with a knife, and then scoop it out.
All right.
So I'll do that with all the avocados.
Okay. So, all right. So we've got, we're putting in 4 or 5 avocados. As we said, they're pitted.
Yes.
And
another secret that I do to keep my avocados fresh is I will, if I'm not going to use it right away, there's a couple things I do. If it's not ripe enough, I'll put it in a paper bag and put it on the countertop.
Yep.
If I don't want them and not going to use it right away, then what I will do is put it in water in the refrigerator to hold it for a little bit longer.
I've heard the paper bag, never heard the water. So that's interesting.
And it really does work. But I could eat avocado every day.
It's a superfood, you know.
Yes. And we almost done here.
Okay. And here's the other ingredients. We've got some jalapeno, red onion, cilantro. We've got it's an heirloom tomato, some limes, and then we've got our spices there. And of course, Olive's just here. She's not going to be.
Olive's always there.
She always comes.
So we start with the avocados, and then as you mentioned, some of the other things that we do have the tomatoes.
All right, so tomatoes going in.
Put those in, and that's what TruMan tried to say, is that my recipe technically was not guacamole. He said it's a salad. It is not. It is still guacamole.
Absolutely.
And then we also do red onion. Some people do white, a sweet onion. I prefer red onion.
Yeah.
In certain foods, and this is one of them. So we'll do some red onion.
All right.
And mix that in.
That's probably about half of a red onion.
And then we also do jalapeno. I'm not a hot person, so I always seed my jalapenos and then dice them up very fast.
They're seeded.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, some people, everybody's different, but so.
All right, so we got
And we'll mix that in.
nice chunky guacamole.
Cilantro, love cilantro.
Yes.
I could eat that every day probably too, and just about everything. So you can never have too much cilantro. So we'll mix that in. Now for the seasonings.
So now we're gonna put in the spices.
Yes, so we're gonna do limes.
And just squeeze down.
My trade secret is for limes is what I will do is put them in the microwave for 15 seconds and then roll them
Right.
to get them juice better. But I've also found if you don't have a juicer, like say you're at a Airbnb or they don't have it, is you use tongs that you use for the barbecue grill to squeeze the lime or the lemon together.
Well, yeah, rolling it is an old bartender trick. As a bartender, so you roll them so they're both easier to cut and then put into drinks. All right, so we've got 3 limes coming in.
And I think I'm just going to use 2.
Okay.
We should be good.
We have 2 limes coming in, like I said.
All right. So we got the lime juice, and the nice thing about the lime juice in this, typically sometimes guacamole only lasts the night that you're making it.
Right.
With us putting lime juice in this one, this guacamole actually lasts like 2 to 3 days if you don't eat it all.
This might be gone today.
Next, I'm going to add some sazon from Goya, so I do 2 packets of that. And I typically just shake it and then rip it right across the top of both of them.
Gotcha.
And put that in.
A little sazon.
And it's going to make it a little bit orange, but it's still good. And then I also add some adobo.
Okay.
I never measure. I kind of just let the ancestors tell me when to stop.
Smell it. All right, so we have had adobo, sazon, then we got a little salt coming in.
So we'll do some salt.
All right.
Again, kind of don't measure. Kind of let the ancestors do their thing. And then we'll just mix it all together.
Okay. All right, so I think we're going to get this on the table. Just have a list of little chips. And so give us a minute. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So, Stacia, tell us what we have here.
So this is my award-winning chunky guacamole.
And we have in it?
So there's avocado, tomato, seeded jalapeno. I don't do hot foods.
Right.
Cilantro, red onion, sazon, and adobo.
Right. All right. So you're the guest. So why don't you go ahead and
thank you.
Serve yourself. And it smells great. You can.
I'm excited for you to try it.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot also lime juice.
Yes, lime juice.
And with the cool thing about the lime juice is usually guac you almost have to eat the same day. With the lime juice in it, it'll last for 2 or 3 days.
You ready? All right. All right, let's give her a taste. You already tasted it. Nice and chunky. I like the chunky.
What do you think?
Very good.
It's a perfect appetizer or to add on to
Forgot my napkin.
make avocado toast. Bring to a party.
That I was interested because I've never used it before, but the sazon is a great ingredient because it gives it a little color and it gives it a different flavor than just straight salt and pepper. I'm going to have one more bite. Well, I'm going to have way more than one more bite, but for the purposes of our show.
Since it's there in front of you.
That's right. Very fresh. All right, one more half bite.
It's hard to put down.
It is. So, Stacia, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
It was. It's like we've done this before. We have some behind-the-scenes stuff that we're not going to tell you about. But anyway, Stacia was gracious enough to come here and make her award-winning guacamole. I really appreciate it. We appreciate all the support out there. Also, check our other podcast, Munching Around Milwaukee, where we talk with local chefs, restaurateurs, foodies, and food influencers, like Judge Mosley, about the very vibrant food scene here in Milwaukee. So until next time, thanks for supporting Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Say goodbye.
Bye.
All right, we're out of here.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders. Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders is brought to you by Cooking Secrets for Men, LLC, and was recorded in the 3rd Ward in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We feature and profile community leaders who are trying to make Milwaukee a better place. The tagline is, serious people with serious jobs having a little fun. Our guests choose the recipes that we use on the show. All of our podcasts are available on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get great podcasts. The original YouTube video for this episode is available on our YouTube channel, Cooking Secrets for Men, all rights reserved. Thanks, and see you next time on Cooking with Milwaukee Community Leaders.